people always get misconstrued is that every human being is like an onion that has many layers. And every time you slice an onion, you go down one more layer. So when you look at an onion as a whole, you don't get the full picture of an individual. It's only until you keep slicing the onion where you can see the different layers of an individual. And there's certain parts of that onion that you're not going to like while there's...
To give you a piece of my mind.
Far from Normal Bros, and we back at it again. First of all, I'm gonna need you to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a mother effing friend to follow and subscribe to your boys. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms as well. You can catch us on YouTube and TikTok. That's Far From Normal Podcast. Make sure you type that into a search engine and see the boys on those clips. We got everything for you. We got the website, www.farfromnormalpodcast.com. We got all the links up there. Make sure you check it out. Of course, YouTube. We're on Instagram as well. That's far_from_normal_podcast. Check it out. You already know. It's your boy Fuzzy Vision. You know I see the world clear. And you know I see the future. And the future is bright. You already know. Fuzzy Vision with 2 N's. If you have any likes, dislikes, rebuttals, or you want to be on the podcast, hit your boy up. Sonny, drop the handle, baby.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Sonny Frames. You can catch me on the gram at Sonny, SONNY, Frames, double S at the end. Make sure when you do check out my Instagram page, check out my stories, because I usually post a lot of stuff that has to do with motivation, inspiration, chasing your dream, and execution. So let's not forget, any dream that you're trying to achieve, the only way that you'll ever achieve it is through execution and putting a plan to motion. So make sure that you don't just stay in the dream world, and make sure you make it a reality.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And Fuzzy, let's get him. It's funny how the heroes we grew up with aren't always what we think they are. And when I say that, I'm talking about heroes in terms of celebrities, icons, everybody worldwide paying attention to them, you know? And the way Hollywood typically illustrates these people as if they're gods. They're like some special being. They could do no wrong. They have these special talents that nobody else can achieve. You got to be born with this specific talent. You got to have that gene, the special gene. They're a breed of their own. There's so many words and so many phrases that they use when they describe these icons, which puts them in a league of their own. But then when you see scandalous information and allegations on your heroes, you start to realize all these guys are human. People make mistakes. And how do you feel about situations like this when you hear?
It's kind of crazy because I had the same conversation. I was talking to like a colleague of mine, and we were basically talking about certain figures, like people that were, you know, whether they're famous athletes, they were, you know, TV stars, actors, actresses, someone just famous for whatever it is they did, and you knew them. Even to be honest, it could have been just a person having a moment. Like, for example, like there was the kid from Home Alone, right? Everyone knows he was that child actor.
Yes.
And I forgot what his name was, but everyone knows the Home Alone
famous.
actor.
Well, it's a famous movie, and he's a famous actor. But I think we cared more about the movie than the actor itself.
Because what happened is, like, he ended up, you know, getting an infamous mugshot of him, like, you know, something drug related, and he looked all coked out.
Yes.
So that shocked people. Same thing like how it shocked people when Justin Bieber, who was like a child singer, basically, where he was with the teeny
like a childhood
boppers.
phenomenal. Right.
Yeah, he was a superstar for like kids, right?
Yeah.
Like for young teeny boppers, you know, with the hairstyle, with the, you know, just the singing, the voice, the sound, the look, everything like that. And then as he got older, we started to see certain things happen, certain mistakes, tattoos, this, that, whatever allegations. And now what we're starting to see is a lot of the guys that we may have looked up to.
Let's not
or
even forget Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. This was another thing I was
Yeah.
talking about. I started to bring up a lot of people, and it's not always because they did something maybe illegal or they did something that you wouldn't expect them to do. Sometimes it's just like who they portrayed themselves to be is not what the reality is. That's the bottom line.
I don't think they portrayed themselves to be that. I think the machine behind them portrayed them in a certain lighting, and they had to live up to that. And when they broke out of frame and they're living a different narrative, right? And their storyline was different, and it wasn't suitable to the frame that they put them in, which is actually a box because they're boxed into this specific narrative, and they're supposed to play out this. You're an actor pretty much. You're playing out a movie role, even in real life. But the movie role and reality, unfortunately for people that are stars, is one and the same. Even when you step offset, you're never really offset because you still can run into your fans in your normal day life, and they're going to see you as a specific person. So now if you may have walked off the set and said, well, my shift is over and now I'm going to be back to normal, whatever normal is to you. But then come to find out, any mistakes you make, your fans and society will hold it against you.
Yeah, that's true. That comes with being a celebrity.
Yes.
But does it affect you? Like if you see somebody that you may have grew up watching, whether it's their music, whether they're a rapper, singer, someone you listen to, even a podcaster for that matter, it can be anyone and at any point. But if you found out that they were flawed, they had mistakes, they did things that they wouldn't be proud of or you wouldn't expect them to do you think that affects the way you may have idolized the person? Or I don't want to say the word idolize because I know me and you, we don't idolize people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when we're talking about this thing of, it's crazy how the heroes turn into, the villains later on in the story if you read the whole book. But for us, we've never idolized people like that. No one in our family have, idolized, especially like humans, right? Like celebrities or stuff like that. So it wasn't in our nature to gravitate towards, even athletes and stuff of people that we liked. We would just like them. We wouldn't necessarily go get jerseys and go to the game and do this and do that. So we always had that disconnect, and we always kind of felt that, these guys are kind of characters on the screen. Even though they're athletes and whatever it is, we understood that there might be some underlying stuff going on with half of them, right? So now we come to find out that, the best of them, the ones that have been very successful, very motivational, people you look up to, people you listen to, people you follow their business moves and you follow the moves they made in their career because they're very successful. We're finding out that these type of guys or these type of women, they're involved in extracurricular activities. Let's just say that. And when you start finding that out, what's your thoughts on these individuals? In particularly, we can go to Diddy because everyone loved Bad Boys.
Oh yeah,
everyone messed with Bad Boys back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They were popping. We watched all the shows.
Oh yeah,
we had Sean John. We rocked the stuff. He put on for the culture.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top dogs in the culture. But now, look what's going on with Diddy. So, as you know, Diddy's in a lot of accusations right now. He's under hot fire right now.
Yes, it could get so bad. It's at that point where if he's not careful, he might end up like the next R. Kelly.
He's at that stage. He's definitely at that stage. Like we did a podcast speaking on the Cassie situation.
Yes,
and we thought that was a pretty big hit in terms of publicity wise. So now he's actually accused of sex trafficking, allegedly involved in a sex trafficking investigation. They raided his house, so obviously they have some type of search warrant or proof. But
this all stems from Cassie's case because...
Do you think it does?
I think it does because what happened was she opened up the floodgates for other people to come out because as quick as she got paid off,
Yeah.
other people looked at it and said, wait, she gets a payday? What about my grievances? Now everybody's coming out with grievances. It's like, he did this to me in this year, and he did this to me at so-and-so
Yeah,
year.
but his situation is more so of an underage ring. Like they had underage women.
But I think the people that came out and
Mhm.
leaked that information were people that were part of that ring, possibly at that point in time, or they were aware of it, and they seen that, as they say, when a person is losing their crown,
Mhm.
it's the best time to attack.
Yeah, but that doesn't alleviate him of wrongdoing. Doesn't
I'm not
mean he
saying
wasn't
that I'm not saying
partaking in
I'm not
those type
saying
of
that
things.
I'm saying, what I'm saying is his empire was built with skeletons in his closet.
Of course.
And because he was so powerful for so long, a lot of people never challenged his belief system. And those that did were dealt with swiftly. But they seen weakness. They seen that there was a chink in his armor, finally,
Yeah.
where they could exploit it. And they took a complete advantage of it. And now it's gone full circle, where now they're raiding his house. They're looking for him. They want to find out what's going on. But I think this rabbit hole goes way too deep. And the people that are also involved with Diddy are powerful people. So now we have to see how this whole thing transpires, because certain people aren't going to want to be exposed. So what happens to Diddy moving forward, and what happens to the people in high power, that are the hidden hand that are also behind Diddy? That's to be determined.
Well, yeah, that's going to be determined. People are going to try and see, who else was involved.
100%.
And obviously, Diddy has some powerful friends. And apparently, there's been other celebrities accused in the lawsuit as well, some famous figures. And I just, I see these things that happen. It's the same thing like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, all these people we tend to have liked, someone in the past, or, some people even idolized and looked up to, right, as role models. And when they become something, or or the truth is revealed behind who they are, I kind of, at this stage at least, we're at the point where it's like, are you surprised?
I'm definitely not surprised, because I know that, because we grew up not idolizing individuals because of the talents that they had. And our parents always told us that no one is really better than you. It's just how hard you work, and certain advantages, and having a bit of luck to get you to where you need to be. But everybody bleeds the same way you bleed. Everybody takes a shit the same way you take a shit. Everybody
Yeah.
sleeps the same way you sleep. There's nobody that's better than you. And I think with that mentality, it showed us that everybody was always human, and whatever they're able to dream and achieve, you're also capable of dreaming and achieving it. And always having that in my head, when certain people made certain errors of judgment, or they weren't what they seemed to be, I may be a little surprised depending on what situations they were involved in.
Mhm.
But in terms of them doing it, not too surprised, because we also have to look at the power dynamic they are now in, like the realm of power, and what they must have seen
Mhm.
with the circle of friends that they had,
Yeah.
right? That exposed them to certain levels of power and what they can do. And then you get to this point where you believe you're untouchable,
Mhm.
and you start doing things that are beyond what anybody could imagine, because of the monetary gains that you have, and all the financial, what's the word I'm looking for? All the finances you have, and so all your economic gains and your status, all of that helps you to create your own world, to the point that you believe that you govern your own world and everything around you.
Yeah, of course. These men, whether it's men or women, typically it's gonna be men. I know that much,
Yeah.
but again, they're gonna leverage their power, and this is
100%.
something that we've read this in many
history books. Yes.
Philosophical books where they talk about power corrupting absolutely, or
So
absolute power.
So Socrates says that he
corrupting
goes
absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Do you know it, or are you paraphrasing?
That's maybe a paraphrase. I don't want to completely quote it. But
So basically, he says power corrupts, but power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly. So the point of the matter is, if you're in a position of power, chances are there's going to be wrongdoing going on that you know about or you're involved in. And that's where the other celebrities may play a role, where they might have not participated, but you can't tell me Diddy, with all the connections he has, they don't know what's going on.
But this is what I was talking to you about.
Yeah,
this is what I was talking to you about earlier. I was saying that, how are they going to go about this case? Because it's very hard in the sense that Diddy didn't do this by himself.
Of course not.
There's people that are around his round table and friends circle that go to his parties and stuff of that nature, that are aware of his wrongdoings and what he does.
But ultimately, if like a situation like this comes out to light, right?
Yeah.
Whether he did it or he didn't do it. Say, for example, he gets accused of this and it doesn't come out. What does that do for you in terms of a person that you've listened to and followed certain aspects of his career, whether you've read books by him or watched documentaries by him, somebody that's respectable in the industry of like hip hop? What does that do for you though? Like, honestly speaking, does that change your opinion on the person or the messages he was sending? Does that really change with what they decided to do on their own time, of their own merit? How do those two things intertwine? That's what I'm trying to understand. Even when we think about other figures, if we think about politicians, when we think about it could be a teacher, it could be anybody, and when they kind of break the unwritten rules, like of course of doing wrongdoing, like sex trafficking, of course, things that are very devious. How does that affect how you see that person or how you listen to that person, especially if what information they give has nothing to do with what they've done?
I think personally, when it comes to that, the message that they deliver, depending on what the message is, if it's a message that is uplifting and it's capable of taking you to the next level in your journey, and there's principles and disciplines that are part of what he talks about, I can't take a good message and discard it because he's doing ill will somewhere else. The message itself still remains the message.
See, and that's the main thing I wanted to talk about, like the message and not the messenger. And when we confuse the two things, or we try and compartmentalize both things to be the same, like they're different things. The message is the message, the messenger is the messenger. So unfortunately, if we start tying things together, we lose out on people that are so-called geniuses, or people that have pushed the culture, whether that's social culture, whether that's it could even be of the highest of levels. Like it can be like experimental mind, creativity, bringing new technology, bringing new ideas, new methods to the table and stuff like that. But it's like, why would you ever discount somebody for that part if they did something, say, that was maybe not moral, like, right? And I can understand why people would, because how I see most people that I know that so-called have morals, they cannot sit with believing anything someone has to say if they're not living a certain type of lifestyle, which I believe to be incorrect, because I think there's still value in information of anybody. Doesn't matter necessarily what they did. Even it could be a murderer. It depending on what they're saying and what credibility they have behind what they're saying, why wouldn't I listen to what they have to say about certain subjects?
Well, I think the reason why a lot of people tend to put the two together is because it's an emotional response. So the logical answer would be to listen to the message, especially if the message is an uplifting message and it's one that can better your own life, right? And can better a lot of people's lives. That would be the smartest thing to do, to take the message and disconnect it from the messenger, because again, they're just a messenger that's giving a message.
But it seems like there's a fine line with
There
what
is,
they do.
because as I said, they're looking at the message as being corrupted because the individual is corrupted.
Yes, exactly.
So that's an emotional response where there's no logic to that, because the same message he may have been preaching would be a message that others would be preaching that don't live that type of lifestyle, right? But because he's corrupted in whatever he does in his normal day life, people compartmentalize that aspect of his life and say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of that. But the thing is, I think what people always get misconstrued is that every human being is like an onion that has many layers. And every time you slice an onion, you go down one more layer. So when you look at an onion as a whole, you don't get the full picture of an individual. It's only until you keep slicing the onion where you can see the different layers of an individual. And there's certain parts of that onion that you're not going to like, while there's other parts that you will. And that goes for layers. Like there's certain characteristics. I would say characteristics is like layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Depending on which environment we're in will depend on, that's the determining factor of what layer you're going to see of a person. But when they see a layer that they don't like, that disrupts the whole flow of whoever you are.
Yeah.
Which is weird, and it doesn't make any sense, because there's still an aspect of the individual that you did like.
That's what I mean.
But because you've seen another side of the individual, now everything else is kapoof, gone. It doesn't make any sense anymore. This onion is rotten. Throw it away.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's interesting. But like, say you had a child and your child was looking up to somebody, and it comes out that, oh, this person did something that you wouldn't approve of. For example, like say a pedophile. You know, your kid's watching a show, and then a pedophile comes. This guy that's a teacher or runs a kid's show, he ends up being a pedophile. Most likely, you wouldn't let your kid watch the show.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yes.
That wouldn't be something you would do. So the reason why, even though they're given information, you would have connected their actions towards their message as being corrupt.
The reason why I wouldn't let my child watch that specific show anymore is because they're too young to understand the difference.
And pardon me, I mean sex offender. We'll go with that one.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So even, for a sex offender, the reason why I wouldn't allow my kid to watch that individual is because they're not at that stage of life where they could understand the nuances of the English language and like the differences between a sexual offender and like how regular people live their life and what's wrong about what that individual is doing.
Well, I'm saying for you would probably come in and say, oh, my kid probably shouldn't watch this show.
But that's what I'm saying, because I'm aware.
Yeah, but your child wouldn't be aware of that.
But that's what I'm protecting my child, because they're not aware of it.
Yeah, but if you knew the programming and when you have a child, you're gonna watch the shows probably with them, and you're gonna say, yeah, I approve of this show. It's not a bad show. I've seen it. There's certain shows you're gonna see. So if you've seen a show that you weren't mad at, you were okay with the message, you're fine with what it taught, but then the guy that runs the show gets into trouble for something, like I said, being a sex offender, for example, would you then now change that show and say, well, we can't possibly watch the show no more because of what that person did, not what work he produced?
So the reason why I answered the question the way you answered it is because that question has multi-layers.
Mhm.
And when I say it's multi-layered is because the individual you're saying that got in trouble, is his face shown on screen, or is he just a writer at the back that
He can be a writer.
Is he just a producer that nobody's seen his face, but he had like it's like Teletubbies out there or Barney or something like that?
Point of the matter, he's like say a writer, even if he's a writer or a producer, I'd say writer and producer.
I would
for
still let
example.
my kid watch the show because they don't know the actual individual.
Yeah, but so there was, speaking on this, there was I don't know if you've ever watched like reels and shit on TikTok or Instagram where they show those old cartoons and they're like all sexualized.
Yes, I've seen that.
And they show like sexual stuff that were in cartoons, but you probably never like picked up on it. Now that you're adult, you're like, holy shit! Like these guys
didn't understand the nuances.
So
of it.
I forgot what the story was, whether it's like someone that ran Disney or ran the commercials, or not the commercial, the shows or whatever. They were saying like he had like a lot of fetishes, like foot fetishes and shit. And he would put them in his shows.
Yes.
And people might not catch on, or they'd do certain sexual stuff, like showing certain shapes and stuff, and that was going, under the umbrella. Like people didn't know that was happening. But what I'm saying is eventually it got figured out. But do you think parents are going like, oh no, that's like he was doing this, he was perverted, we can't possibly watch anything Disney? Like, they're not really going to say that. Though that's a corporation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people that are in the building. But I'm just saying, it's like a lot of the times this stuff, whether people you think have good intentions or bad intentions, how would you know the difference? You wouldn't know the difference because you can only judge off the person, right? You have nothing else to go off of. So I think that people prefer to judge the person rather than the action because they go, the person is the root. So if the root is rotten, I can't pick from the tree. That's what the thought process is. If the root's rotten, how can I pick from the tree? And unfortunately, that's always how it's gonna go, because this, even with Hitler, right? You're talking about somebody that, obviously had to have been smart to a certain degree, obviously had to be able to create something in order to make his plans. Now, what he did is obviously one of the worst atrocities that they say in this side of the world, at least, that has happened, right? In the Western world. So if somebody stands behind that guy and says, well, this guy was a very smart guy and he did this and he did that, and tries and preaches the good parts of him, who's really going to care, right? Because people, like I said, they judge the root. They're not going to pick from a rotten tree, even if it produces apples.
But I think you have to be a certain level of thinker to look beyond the surface level. As I said, like every person is layered.
Yeah.
They have different types of layers. So I think you have to transcend surface level. And this is why when we have serial killers and all these individuals that do things of terrible things like atrocities in humanity, but yet people don't study these individuals.
Yeah.
These people should be studied and understand what got them to this level.
Okay.
They shouldn't be executed for the crimes that they've committed. They should be studied and understood. And where did they go wrong? What went wrong? Was it a family dynamic? How did they grow up? When did these thoughts start coming into place? And this is what I'm saying. You have to be a higher level thinker to understand, hey, me executing this guy doesn't change the fact that somebody else is going to be born that's going to commit the same atrocities.
Yes. Yeah.
So in order to stop another atrocity from happening, you understand the patterns of the criminals that came before them. So the predecessors, you need to understand where they're coming from. And then when future generations come into play and certain patterns are shown, you should be able to nip it in the bud because you know the patterns that cause another individual to become what they are. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be a high level thinker and think more on the logical side rather than the emotions of how you see an individual in order to get the most out of an individual.
Interesting. I have a kind of question that just came to my head, and I just want to kind of see your opinion on this. So, a question I want to ask is, first of all, what's your opinion on criminals? What do you think of a criminal?
What kind of criminals are we talking about? Because yeah, that's a hard question to answer because there's multiple criminals and it depends on their offense. What are they going? What's their crimes? What are we talking about?
How about, I guess say okay, say crime against like humanity, like someone that's selling drugs that ruin people's lives. What would your thoughts be on a person that is making a like if you knew somebody that was making a living doing this, would you have a problem with getting to know that person?
No.
But if say they did a different crime, say they did a more violent crime like attempted murder or murder, would that affect you in getting to know that person?
Well, I think that would the determining factor would be in what conditions am I meeting this individual? Is it at the work site? Is it on the streets? Is it in the club? Like, where am I meeting these individuals?
Okay, that's a good question. So say this is someone you've known for a while. Say this is somebody from your past. Maybe you've never seen them in a while. And then they potentially went down the wrong path somewhere along the line and they became a criminal, right? And maybe it's somebody that you've known for years, say this since a kid. So they become a criminal now. And the reason I'm asking you what your thoughts are on criminals, because I feel like with everything, even when it comes to these celebrities and all the accusations and, people get cancel culture and all the different stuff, I feel like it always comes down to what specifically had been done. What was the wrongdoing, right? So we kind of pick and choose what we want.
We do.
And we try to act virtuous about it where there's no virtue to it. We decide for ourselves what we believe to be right is and what we believe to be wrong is. And even if we come to the same conclusion of what wrong is, we still have leniency on how wrong were you. And that's the same thing with like Diddy situation that we were talking about, where it's like, well, we can't really defend him anymore because it's sex trafficking. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try and defend them because the accusations and the allegations are severe this time because they're minors. They're talking about this is nothing small, right? So just like how he had the same case with Cassie, well, that's not that, like, it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. You see what I mean?
Do you want me to answer that
Go
question?
ahead, yeah.
So when it comes to minors, and see, again, it depends on which lens you're seeing it from. Because I was having this conversation at work today, and an individual was talking about in the Middle East, you'll have a 50-year-old guy marrying a 15-year-old girl, something of that sort. And they would say, that's a petty. And I would say that due to their cultural norms, that's normal on that side of the world. But in a world like the Western world, the rules don't apply. Those rules that apply in the Middle East don't apply in the Western world. So the concept between a 50-year-old and a 15-year-old girl, though that concept doesn't apply. So you're looking at it from a different lens, a different
Well, that's
scope.
according to your culture, of course.
Yeah, according to your culture. So in the West, they have a different idea of that. But yet there's still people that do that.
Yeah, but this is sex trafficking. This is not dating or marrying, like, under the law or something like that. This is something that's deemed as a crime, a criminal offense here. And with serious repercussions.
So the question the thing about sex trafficking is there's a lot of nuances to sex trafficking. I think when somebody says sex trafficking, everybody's like antennas go up. Sex trafficking, this guy, throw the book at him. He doesn't deserve to be out in the world.
Of course.
He's done, right?
Of course.
But I think you need to be more educated on sex trafficking, and then you got to understand how exactly did he do the sex trafficking? You got to get all the details. Because the thing is, there's parents that give away their daughters to people, because in some of his interviews or documentaries that's going to be coming out, they talk about how Usher's mother gave full consent to P Diddy to be his guardian.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
How many other people
are willing to
give up their child for them to have a better life? And then he becomes their sole guardian, and then whatever he decides to teach them or whatever he deems is right or what's wrong, they follow suit. And then when he tells them to do certain things, and now it's called sex trafficking, but he was their guardian.
That is true. And
so how do we judge somebody in that sense? And then if the individuals that were part of those rings say, no, I did it on my free will. He told me to do this, but he never forced me. He never pushed me to do it. I decided to do it because I care about this person this much.
It's a bad situation to be in. Let me tell you one thing.
That's what I'm saying, but I'm just saying I don't know the nuances.
Yeah, none of us know the nuances, whether this is real or not. Like I said, the allegations. I'm not saying he's done what he done, but when there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes, of course.
And we called this actually. When was that? Maybe November.
Yeah,
when he had his first allegations, and it's probably like November times, and just to think of the fact that we've came this far now, now we're at serious allegations, and we knew when it rains it pours. It's obvious 100%. That the floodgates were open. Once it cracks, it's good. It's 100%. Good to go. There's no more fixing it. So that's just crazy. But on to other news. There's also in the social media world, I heard TikTok's getting banned. They're talking about dropping a bill to ban TikTok in North America, I guess.
No, so the TikTok ban is for the US specifically.
Oh, it's a US ban.
Yeah, it's a US ban. So because the Canadian market is small, it's not that much of a big deal.
It's not that influential.
It's not that influential
because how many people are really on TikTok in all of Canada? We only have 30 million.
So we have 33 million.
How many are in a metropolitan city?
Exactly. We only have 2-3 metropolitan cities. So
user activity is not
activity is not even close to the US. So it's so insignificant to ban it in Canada. But in the US, because they have so many
New York
users,
State alone has 100 million.
Exactly. The fact that they have so many individuals,
30 million, whatever it is, crazy.
That are using TikTok, using the platform, making money off the platform. First of all, you can't even make money off the platform in Canada.
Yes, you can't. Yes.
So just that alone already makes it insignificant, because it's okay, you can post content on it, but it's that you can't get paid for it, so people aren't gonna really put too much investment in TikTok.
But either way, if they banned it from the States, it then kind of would lose its popularity here, because most of the content we watch is, I'd assume, mostly American content.
Yes. So I think what will happen is, but what I think is gonna happen,
You
just
think it's
like
gonna get banned or
it probably is gonna, it probably might get banned,
yeah?
but at the same time, this is not the first time that they said that they're
That's what I
trying to
said
ban
years
TikTok.
ago. They talked about
That's
banning
what I said.
it.
They said it like
Yeah,
2-3
China
years ago.
spying on us and all
They
this
did say
nonsense.
that, and they wanted them to sell to them,
Yeah,
but China's not going to concede. And just like in China, where they have a firewall to stop you from looking at Google and
Yeah,
all these
same
other
thing.
apps and all these social media apps, there's always ways around it. And people are going to find those ways in the US as well. And they're going to continue to use it. And just because they banned it, more people will be using TikTok than ever, actually. They're going to increase the user.
But what do you think of TikTok and its like influence? Because now TikTok's been around for a little bit. You
Yes.
know? I don't know how much years it's been around for. I'd like to say maybe 6 years, 5 years.
Came out
Like-
about 2019.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's 2019,
About
2018.
2018, 2019, because I was living in China at the time.
And it was out?
It was already out.
So maybe
we're looking at
2018, possibly 2017.
2018 coming to 2019, TikTok was already out.
But what's your thoughts on the platform, generally speaking?
I think personally, if you learn how to use the algorithm, you can, it has a lot of informative information that you can take from it. But if you use it in ways to entertain yourself, you could be stuck on that app for hours upon
It's
hours
addictive,
and be very addicted
Yeah.
to it. Because even though I get a lot of great information on it, sometimes I can get lost in that world.
Yeah.
And look at TikTok a lot. Like even sometimes when I'm driving, I'm going through
TikToking.
TikTok.
It's such a rapid, like
Yes.
fire app, like where you're just
Exactly.
seeing so much
So a lot of
content.
dopamine,
It's
It's
like
dopamine hits.
funny. Like and you know, they curate to what you like.
Yes,
So
exactly.
whatever it is you like, you're gonna watch videos you like. So
Exactly. So that
you're gonna be sucked in
Yes.
and absorbed. That's the only thing that I find troublesome with TikTok, so I don't go on it that often, is that it turns into, because you have to watch a couple seconds of each video, maybe
Yes.
like, I don't know what it is, maybe it goes up to a minute, right?
Yes, now.
So almost a minute per video, and you're going through videos, and some are 30 seconds, some
Yeah.
are 15 seconds, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're not counting the clock, you're just going through them because they're funny or you see something cool you like, and a lot of the times it burns up a lot of your time.
So this is where you have to be responsible with your time, and you
Mhm.
gotta govern yourself in ways in which you have discipline. Because I look at TikTok and I look at social media pretty often, but yet that doesn't stop me from doing the things I need to do for the day. For example, if I'm looking at TikTok, I'm going to look at it on the times where I have a lot of dead time. So if I'm driving to work, something of that sort, and I have a long drive to go to work, I'll be just scrolling through the TikTok videos. It helps me pass the time. I'm not thinking about how long it takes me to get to work now. I'm just looking at the videos. By the time I look up, I'm at work. You see? So I killed off my dead time, but at the same time, I'm gaining information. I'm learning about certain things, and I'm incorporating them. Sometimes they recommend certain documentaries to look at, and I'll just go and check out these documentaries.
Yeah, no,
and
for
find
sure.
out.
They have a lot
and
of
then
things.
they'll give you like financial tips, or they'll give you motivational quotes.
But again,
and
mention this has to do with your algorithm.
your algorithm. But I'm saying the informative aspect of it.
Yeah,
because
but
everyone
most
talks
people
about
that
the
go on
entertainment.
TikTok,
It's for
they're
the
not
entertainment.
trying to
Yeah,
go there
of
for
course.
anything but entertainment, because at the end of the day, you don't know, like not everyone knows the algorithm trick where it's like,
Yes.
oh, if I start looking at, women on my shit, it's gonna start keep posting
Yeah,
that on my
posting
thing.
women,
And
yes.
it's like, okay, now I'm stuck in this rabbit hole of
Yes.
watching these videos of people
No,
twerk.
but then it changes over time, because the thing is, they still drop other videos of other content.
Yes,
then
of
wherever
course.
you
They
stay on
mix
the
it. They're gonna
longest-
throw you some
Yeah.
little stuff. They do
Yeah.
experiments. It's just
Yeah.
like any content, because they wanna keep filtering new content to you as
Yes.
well. They want to make their platform be reachable to everybody.
Yeah.
So they want sometimes you're gonna get random videos that have nothing to do with anything you like, right?
100%.
And then you
because they
put
wanna
not
test the water.
interested.
Yeah.
They even have that on Instagram. They show ads.
Yes.
And then they go, are you interested in this or not interested?
Yes.
So whether you click
They
yes
do
or
that
no,
on
you're
TikTok
giving the
too
ticket
now. They do that on
information,
TikTok as
and
well
they
now.
understand how to market to you too.
Yeah.
and I seen on other sites too, they'll have ads.
Google does that as well. When you go on certain sites, if
Yeah, it's crazy. They
Yeah.
have an ad, and they're asking you, "Are you interested or not?" It's like,
I'm just
so
trying
I
to,
supposed to tell
I'm
you?
surfing
Yeah,
the web.
exactly.
I'm
And then
surfing the web, and you're asking me, you're intruding in my life,
to
asking
ask
me
me,
if
yeah,
I'm
it's
interested in this
crazy.
or not, which is crazy.
But we're getting to that point of like, okay, so people or the smart people have understood that like humans need to be forced into doing things.
Yes.
You can't just leave the option for them. So once
Yep.
if you want something to go, you got to force feed.
Force feed.
You can't
yes.
just
I've
sit
noticed
there
that
and
too.
nonchalantly put it in there and expect people to go. It's almost like putting a product at a store and not putting it right in the front or right in the person's face.
Or in the middle.
Or in the
because
middle,
that's
or the
like,
most
yep.
strategic, like you said, like for the shelves, the
Yeah.
eye level, all those things I see why they're important because you have to force feed people.
Color, they have a whole
Yes,
color
you have
theory.
to. Yeah, people like to be attracted to things, and they need to be forced into doing things. They're always willing to, but you have to force them.
Mhm.
They're willing to, but the desire comes from forcing. Because
Mhm.
when you force them and they feel like they have no choice, then they will do what they like, whatever it is.
It's funny that you say that. The reason why I'm laughing in my head is because I'm thinking about when you're courting a woman.
Yeah.
And if you're not forcing the issue, it doesn't go anywhere.
Even most things in life.
Yeah, most things in life. If you don't force the issue, it doesn't happen. So, for example, let's say you want to do a cold approach. You meet a beautiful woman on your daily walk, or you're on your daily walk and you see a woman. Now you have two decisions. You can walk by her and not say anything, or you can walk towards her and start conversation. It could be the smallest thing.
Yep.
You could compliment her earrings, or you could compliment the way she tied up her hair, or how her hair is long, or something about her outfit. Ask some kind of question, start up a conversation, because all you need to do is break the ice. Ask her a question or whatnot just to get her attention. And that's because you forced the issue. So if anything comes out of that, it's because you broke that barrier where she was a stranger and you decided, I want to get to know this person. So you put yourself out there and force the issue for her to acknowledge you, because maybe she was in her own world. Maybe she had thoughts in her mind. She wasn't thinking about, a guy approaching her. She was thinking about, what am I going to eat for dinner?
Yeah.
Like something dumb, you know what I mean? Silly. But you came and you broke her out of that spell and you said, hey, blah, blah, blah. You could have made her day just meeting her. A lot of girls say that they don't get picked up. Guys don't do that nowadays, right? With social media and dating apps, a lot of guys are too timid to go out there and be confident and ask a girl out, or just try and pick them up randomly. So you doing that brings a new element to them, something that's new.
But at the same time, it's kind of like putting your product in the front of the store. Like, it still has to be a good product too.
Yeah, that too.
Right? Like the product still can't lack in quality.
100%.
You have to market. Plus, you're gonna have to have the quality to support the marketing. So those two things have to work hand in hand, just like a guy that's trying to pick up a woman, right?
Yes.
The game and everything, that's cool, and having the confidence to go and approach, this 10 out of 10 woman. But how far is that gonna get you if you're not qualified? If you're not what she wants or what she's looking for, you're not gonna make any plays there.
Well, the whole notion of the conversation that we were having was forcing the issue.
No, I know. That's what I was saying. We're talking about like forcing the issue, and sometimes you have no choice. You have to force the issue. Like it is what it is. And like even with the example I gave you, like they always say, like you miss all the shots you don't take. I'm not a fan of this this quote, but it is applicable in some cases for sure, depending on what we're talking about. But when it comes to like I said, the TikTok ban, it's interesting just because TikTok is one of those apps that's also very fast growing app. It was one of those apps that like
Yes.
really blew up quickly, and has a lot of like people that are on the app. And obviously Instagram has kind of copied some of their formats with the reels and the
reels.
posts and little mini videos. That's why everyone is doing them
Even
now.
Facebook has their little video shorts.
Yeah, Facebook has the
shorts.
YouTube. I'm not gonna say TikTok started that,
Yeah.
but they definitely were one of the pioneers of
They're
making it popular.
let's just say they made more waves. I mean, Vine was one of the first
Yeah.
that I seen of that kind, but somehow they fell off. I don't know how, but you know, the trend came in the past, and then TikTok found a void that was unfilled, and they catered to the demographic that wanted to see that. I think it just went through an evolution stage where Facebook started off with, you know, pictures and stuff of that nature, and then you know, staying in contact with old friends, and then Instagram was like the second version of that, you know, for the newer generations, and it was more cooler because now you're seeing your parents on Facebook. Was like that wasn't cool anymore.
Yeah.
So you pivoted to Instagram, and then the new version was, well, a lot of people are doing the pictures things. That's kind of old. That's kind of passe. But
yeah,
then they
but
went
do you
over to
but
the
do you think we have to keep up
videos.
with the times, like when it comes to these type of things?
I do. I think it's important to keep up with what's going on globally, because you'll start to understand where the world is heading. And I think it's only important if you're in these types of industries.
Okay.
I don't think if you're not in those industries, that is so important. It doesn't affect your life. Because if you live a certain way, if you conduct yourself a certain way in your life, it has no bearings in your life.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good way of connecting with your children, because if they're talking to you, you know what they're talking about. For you to sit there and be like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about, the gap will continue to open up.
Yeah.
It'll continue to open up to the point that you can't even relate to your kid. Your kid can't tell you anything because you just don't get it. And they're going to say you don't get it. And
they won't want you around.
They won't want you around because
Lame-o.
yeah, exactly. You're just that lame guy that, yeah, he's my father, but he has no idea what's going on. He's kind of lost. So I think it's always important just to keep your ear to the ground, because again, the gap will continue to open up if you don't.
That's interesting. I always think of social media if it's like necessary. I know it's not necessary, but it seems like it's such a mandatory thing to have. Like if you pick up a woman,
it's the metaverse.
It's the metaverse, because even if you pick up a woman, like most likely she's gonna have Instagram.
Yes.
Most likely she's gonna have some type of social media you can connect with her on.
And I always find people weird when they don't have it.
And when they don't have it, you find them weird. And it's like, so exactly, we think this is the majority. Yeah. So, or we think like there's some sketchy business must be going on because we don't know what you're doing. Like, so people like that ability to know what people that, even if they never seen them in years, like at the end of the day, it's like, you could have not seen me in years, but if I posted for the last 5 years, it seems like you've already, you're close. And I know you've been to Cuba. I know you went out to Colombia. You went to Africa.
Story just because
they'll be like, oh, I seen you. You're running in the snow. Like, you know, you're swimming with the sharks and flying with the birds. Like, it's like,
you're in New Zealand. I seen you jump out of a plane. Like, huh?
Yeah, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, that was like August 25th. Like, what?
So it's just that connection that people tend to have, even when people they never seen in years, because they feel like they're watching their lifestyle. So they never missed out on so much shit, right? They can always pick up the pieces and have something to talk about. Yeah. So it does create more chance at conversation with old friends, especially or people you haven't seen in a while, because you could.
That's what it is.
You could hit them up.
Yes, you hit it on the nail, because you hit it right on the head. Because you, the issue is with people that are not on social media, there is a level of skepticism, because it's like, what are you hiding from the world that you don't have a presence on social media?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a big one either.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a big one. But the fact that you have no presence, and then you tell somebody to add you on WhatsApp or
some obscure,
or just add my number, just text me, because a lot of people don't text nowadays too.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people don't understand that concept of texting is now sending memes.
Yeah, it's like
you know?
sending memes and
You
messaging
sending
on
videos
Instagram
to
and
people.
Mhm.
That's your texting. That's you having fun. That's you engaging without engaging.
without engaging.
So, but it keeps you in the loop. People are laughing.
Yeah, so I
You're
think
creating emotions for people.
It's weird. It's like it loosely keeps you connected to people,
Yeah.
very loosely though.
Yes.
Not figuratively. Like in a sense, it keeps you loosely, but some people it can keep you tightly connected to them because you could admire them, what it is they're doing in their lifestyle, especially if they have a come up story, if they like started from the bottom, now we're here. Like, if they're at those type of levels where they were maybe a humble beginnings, now they're somebody of stature. Yeah, people would love to, stick around those people and talk to those people and stuff like that. So sometimes it's out of admiration, sometimes it's out of these people motivate you. So there's so many different aspects where social media can be beneficial towards anyone, right? Like
100%.
it can be there's many good that comes with it, but I understand what the bad thing about social media though, and with where it's going and us being connected to everyone is just the simple fact that we are overloaded with information, and most of the information is nonsense information that we shouldn't even be filling our heads with. And I think that's where we hit that danger zone.
Yes,
It's like
that is a danger zone.
it's like how much time are we spending here and absorbing bullshit compared to the good stuff? So when you look at social media, hold on,
counter that.
yeah. So when you look at social media, if you were to say for your own algorithm where you said you try and look at educational stuff, what would you say the ratio is between entertainment and education on through your TikTok app or through any of your social media apps? If you were to give a percentage,
I don't have a percentage because it's hard to say because it's mixed with entertainment.
Well, you have to say, is it 50-50?
Well,
you have to kind of say.
I mean, no, because I mean, you just have to look at how I conduct my life on a daily basis, and that tells you how non-affected I am by the
whether you're
that I see.
just because you're not affected,
Well,
like
but this is
to
why I
the
said I
public.
can't give you a percentage.
Yeah,
right?
but to the public's different. Like you could have still wasted an hour looking at that, where you could have wasted that hour doing something else. Whatever it was.
Well, looking at my Instagram,
because even you looking at other people's stuff, like say, I don't know if you necessarily do that,
I
but
don't
like
really
say
do
for
that.
example, Instagram shows other people's things.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the point to watch what other people are up to?
So typically I don't do that because I have so much going on in my own life, right? I have a podcast, I have a merch line that I'm working on, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things going on in my life, and then we run, we work out, we do so much things in our lives that it's not fake. Like what we post on social media is not like a fake lifestyle. This is our real lifestyle. So when I post stuff on my stories, this is what I'm actually doing. So I have no time to look at what somebody else is doing, what John is doing or Julie.
That's true, yep.
Because I got something going on in my life, and I have a path, I have somewhere where I'm going. So I'm doing everything in my power to bring myself to the next level. And for me to be on social media, I'm also marketing myself. I'm a product. I'm my own product. And then the podcast is also a product. The merch line is also a product. Far from Normal athletics wear coming soon. Watch out for that.
Gang.
But yeah, that is why I'm constantly so busy when it comes to that, and I don't pay attention to.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, obviously people do pay attention to other people's stuff because the curiosity gets to you. You know,
think curiosity,
even you're guilty of that. You're gonna just be curious. You know, certain people you never seen post in a while, and
I'll take a look
see
for
them.
sure.
You're like, you know what? Let me see what this person's up to. I haven't seen them in years, and sometimes you're happy for them. Sometimes you could care less what they're posting.
I'm always amazed at the people that watch you for years, like, or watch your every story that you post.
But don't you find that strange that people can watch your post and never really comment or never like or just watch?
Creeping, just being a creeper, just in the
shadows. But what
shadows.
do you think of that? Like, why wouldn't you block a person like that? It's like, okay, you're doing a little too much watching. Like what are we doing here?
I don't know.
But again, I guess it goes back to what you said. Yeah. Well, I don't think they need to harm you to do that, because I just put in maybe. I guess it kind of if you put in the perspective of, say, a woman, like, she's gonna have a lot of men that she could give a damn about, that are gonna watch her every post and like her every post.
Yeah.
But I guess in the same sense, she wouldn't just get rid of them, because she's like, well, they're not bothering me, so what do I care? Until they start becoming flagrant.
Yeah.
And, in her DMs and everything like that, then she might be like, okay, I have a problem. But if they're just gonna show love, what's it to her? She's not gonna really say much. So.
But you're saying something like I said before. What was I saying before?
Which part?
When you're talking about if somebody's watching your Instagram page or something of that sort, you're saying that why wouldn't you block somebody? It's like what you were saying before.
Oh, well, because you said you're not harming anybody.
Oh,
so like a woman in that situation that has like a lot of these fanboys that she could give a damn about, it's not like she's gonna go through a list and be like, oh, these guys been watching me for 10 years, or they've been watching me for pretty long, I'm getting nervous, or like, they're not gonna care, because they're gonna be, well, they never commented, never liked. It is what it is. They just like the show. I guess the show goes on. I'm not gonna care about who's watching the show that I put on.
Yeah, I think when it comes to stuff like
that. And I
that,
guess when you're authentic too, right? You're living your life. You're not trying to entice people. You're doing what you do.
And also, I believe these people that do watch your stuff may have had like a connection with you in the past, right?
Too.
And it's a way of still clinging on to that without actually having conversation with the individual.
But don't you like to see people grow? Like, do you like to see others grow? Like, do you like to see other people do better or do good?
I'd love to see them do better and get to the next level. Remember I was telling you about my friend that went to Spain and we were talking about it at work and he told me he was going. I was super excited for him because I'm like, we were talking about this at work. I was telling him I'm going to go to Japan. He was telling me he was going to Spain. Then when I seen him in Spain and he was traveling around Europe, I was super excited for him. Not everybody behaves in that fashion, but I always try and applaud my brothers for doing stuff that I couldn't imagine doing, or if they're just getting to the next level.
Yeah, no, that's how I am. I've always appreciated people that have stepped it up and have uplifted themselves. I can never hate on those type of people, and they do provide motivation a lot of the time.
Yes,
yeah. So
it's just like when Omar, when he went to Japan, he motivated me to finally punch in that ticket and say it's time to go.
So sometimes observation is good through social media to see certain people. Colleagues, classmates, whatever it is, friends, people you've known for a long time. Sometimes it's good to do a check and see where you stand, where they stand, and sometimes it's room for improvement on your side.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's room for improvement needed on their side.
100%, especially when they knew that they grew up with you and they seen you in your younger years
without anything,
and then what you became. So that is a cause for admiration,
absolutely,
and respect, right?
Respect mainly.
Yeah, mainly. So I think a lot of people will possibly gravitate to that, and either want to get closer to you or try to lift themselves to the next level.
They're fine with watching from afar.
That too.
They can be a fan.
Yeah.
And being a fan is not a negative thing. It's just that people are in your corner cheering for you. Yeah. They want you to do better. It's not to say you're a fan, you're on someone's dick or something. No. It's just to say that you have people that support you silently. They're not necessarily going to come out and say they support you because people don't want to feel like fans, right?
Yes.
They don't want to feel like, oh, this guy thinks, well, I'm a fan of him. Like, they don't want, there's embarrassment attached to that.
Yes.
Everyone knows that.
Egos,
get, and people don't want to give each other their flowers, and we understand that. So yeah, sometimes people just watch from afar, silent admirers.
Yes, silent ninjas.
Shout out to the silent admirers.
Exactly.
Shout out to y'all because y'all make this shit happen. Y'all
ones in the shadows for sure.
Y'all are supporting the podcast. The little silent admirers. I appreciate y'all.
I see you guys, and I appreciate you. Just want to let you know.
Exactly. Let's get it.
I think that's all we got for the podcast today. Until next time, we are out. Deuces.
Peace.